I still cannot wrap my mind around this. Like, how have I never made this before? I've obviously eaten it several times, but I've never made Colcannon in my own kitchen. It only seems to be popular in the US around St. Patrick's Day, but in Ireland, it's a big occasion meal, and this is crazy. It's actually super popular on Halloween in Ireland. Who knew? But I am dedicated, because I've never made this before, to figure out how to make this as delicious as possible. The red rooster potato would be the common potato to use. However, I want a little bit more starch than that. I want a little bit more flavor. And I believe I can achieve that through a combination of Yukon Gold and russet potatoes. What you want to do is peel 2 pounds each, russets and Yukon Golds, and then what I'm going to do is slice it in half and then thinly slice them. Now, the reason I'm thinly slicing them is because they will cook quicker. We have a lot of things to do at the end, and I want to make sure everything comes together at the right time. Once you've sliced them all, we're going to put them to the side in a big container full of cold water so they don't turn brown. Okay, now to prep up all the stuff that actually goes in with the potatoes. When you look at Colcannon in its simplest form, we're talking mashed potatoes and cooked cabbage mixed together. When I started doing some research, I saw all these different variations. Some had protein in there, some had different greens in there, onions, no onions, all over the place. But I'm going to use a little bit of that culinary intuition that I have, coupled with a lot of these different recipes and pulling flavor as much as I possibly can to make these absolutely delicious. Here is what I figured out, what to put in it to make it so dang good. Savoy cabbage is absolutely where it's at. The flavor in this is amazing. We want to slice it in half and then simply just remove that inside core. So you just cut a triangle to get that out of there. It's bitter. It's going to be no good. Now, what I like to do is run it on a mandolin. You've got some great knife skills. Feel free to thinly slice it like a julienne. You know what I always say on the mandolin, once you get scared on there, stop using it. Savoy cabbage would absolutely be the pick here, but for some reason, if you can't find it, you can substitute in with green cabbage or even kale. Both would be very, very common to use in this recipe and still absolutely delicious. But I also started thinking about, there's another ingredient that's very popular in Ireland and is a staple in a myriad of the recipes. How can I use that? Because I know it goes good with cabbage. Here's what it is. Leeks are a staple ingredient in Ireland. There's even a soup there known as the Irish potato and leek soup. Potato, leek, see the commonalities there? Why wouldn't this be good? Slice off the end and then slice right where the white part meets the darker green part. And then we slice it in half and then thinly slice again. Sometimes leeks are dirty, so feel free to give them a rinse in a colander if that's the case. And next, green onions. I know this to be a very common ingredient in Colcannon, so of course I'm going to use it. I'm going to slice off the ends and then I'm going to thinly slice them again. I'm using 4 here. If you like green onion flavor, you can even go up to 5 or 6. Now, you will occasionally see pork served up with Colcannon, and I find it hard-pressed to see any recipe out there that wouldn't be greatly enhanced with the addition of bacon. So I have 8 slices, or about a ½ pound, which we are going to thickly slice and fold it right into our potatoes. Now, the bacon we have here in the US is not the same bacon that they use over in Ireland. No, they use something called back bacon, which is cured essentially pork loin. Okay, so it's a lot leaner, but it's also a lot bigger. You would serve that alongside of this. I'm trying to figure out how can we take what we have and that you can still make at home and put it together to make this insanely, insanely delicious. Now, here is the tricky part, okay? We have 3 different pots and pans, a lot of different stuff going on. We want to ensure everything stays nice and hot, so when it comes together, it's ready to serve. Pay close attention, okay? I'm gonna see if I can pull this one off. I'm gonna put a large pot of water, turn the heat on high, try to get that to a boil quickly. Next, in a small to medium-sized sauce pot, I'm gonna add in 8 ounces or 2 sticks of unsalted butter. I'm gonna hit it with a 1/3 cup of whole milk, a 1/3 cup of heavy whipping cream. Putting this on the burner on low heat, I just want to make sure it's hot so when I pour it in the potatoes, it's good to go. Now in a large rondeau, I'm going to cook that bacon. I want to render off that bacon fat. The other thing I want to do is make sure that bacon gets nice and crispy. When I fold it into the Colcannon, I want it to be at that consistency, but rendering the bacon fat is key, so definitely take the time to do this. I'm going to switch spoons to a slotted spoon, drain off any fat, set that bacon to the side. Now in that pot, we're on medium heat. I'm adding in those leeks. We're not looking for any sort of full caramelization here. No, I don't want to do that in here, but I want them to be translucent, and I do want them to be a little bit tender. So we're talking 3 to 4 minutes on medium heat. Now I'm going to add in the cabbage. I'm also going to turn the heat down to low, medium, somewhere in between there. And I'm just thinking, what if I season it up with salt? I know cabbage breaks down with salt, and I believe that's going to release a lot of moisture to help make this really tender and really juicy and really delicious. I'm going to cook it just for 6 to 7 minutes. That's plenty of time for it to release the moisture and to tenderize. Perfect. Turn the heat off. No worries, it will stay warm. Now I'm going over to that large pot of water. It is at a very heavy rolling boil. I'm going to add the potatoes in there. I know some water might shoot out of there, but you have to wait till it boils because that's how it cooks really quickly. Again, maybe 6 to 7 minutes. The potatoes will be done. That thin slice is going to pay off. Now go over to the milk right before we pull it. Let's add in our green onions. Remember, it's just on warm. No worries. It's not going to cook, but it is going to heat them up. Let's now pull out our potatoes. Give them a really good shake. Make sure as much water is off as possible because we're going to add a lot more liquid to it. We need it to soak it up. You could absolutely use a hand masher or you can use electric hand beaters. You know me, I am always extra. To me, mashed potatoes are best when they are run through a food mill. They're the lightest, they're the fluffiest, and for some reason, they will suck up the most goodness. So speaking of goodness, let's go grab that combination of butter, milk, cream, and green onions. Pour it in there. Use a spatula or a spoon. I'm going to combine all of those delicious ingredients. Then go back. I'm going to grab the cabbage. Oh my God. Oh man, almost lost it. I'm going to scrape all of the cabbage in there. Be sure to get all of it. We want as much as possible. Then I'm going to add in 3/4 of the bacon. Save a little extra for garnish. We're going to season it well with salt and a little bit of ground white pepper. Remember, season once, taste twice. Fold all this stuff in. Make sure it's delicious and combined. It's crazy because even though I've never made this before, it still goes back to those fundamental cooking techniques. Okay, how to cook cabbage, making sure you don't overboil your potatoes, making good mashed potatoes, all those little things. I put them into practice for so long, and if you do it too, it's going to elevate your everyday cooking. I say it all the time. Now, there are a few more steps, okay? Don't go anywhere. We want to plate these up. I have a couple ingredients to add to the top. Here we go. Serving mashed potatoes just works better when you give a little fling of the wrist. It comes right off the spoon. Perfect. I'm also going to make little channels by holding the spoon upright and turning the potatoes. What do I want to make these little channels for? Because I'm going to add some melted unsalted butter, and it's going to run down all those little grooves that I created. We're going to finish off with a little bit more of that crispy cooked bacon. And believe me, I mean this as humbly as possible, okay? Oh my gosh, this Colcannon is incredible. I can't even stop eating it. It is so dang good. I'm going to be grazing all day. But if you want to take this to the next level, you need to pair it up with my Irish bangers. Instead of the mash in there, use this. It'll be the most insane thing you've ever eaten. Seriously, incredibly delicious. I will see you on there.